Welcome to this episode of Coffee with Cornell. Grab a cup and join me, and we're going to talk about communicating with your community. Communicating with your community, or if you will, maintaining connections. We all found out last year, 2020, through the pandemic kind of shutdown, how important that is to maintain connections in our community. Certainly, we were all told at different points in time to reach out and touch those friends of yours and people that you know, perhaps even someone you haven't spoken with in some time. It's also important for businesses to reach out and touch with people in regards to letting them know. For example, think about your favorite locations. When were they open? When were they closed? When they changed their menus? All the different questions that were associated with the modifications we all had to go through, ebb and flowing regarding our communications capability in our world. Those communication opportunities were important to us. Why? Because it gave us a chance to start to make connections back to those businesses we wanted to support. It made connections back to our friends we wanted to look in on. It made connections that were so important to that social fabric and social web that we all cherish and need. That communications and that was key to help us all get through to where we are today. Some of the actions we might consider taking, of course, for individually and for businesses, are maintaining that contact information. Sure, most of us now have cell phones and smartphones that maintain those telephone numbers, maybe an email and the addresses, physical addresses for us, but that is contact information that we all need to have. I would offer that for some small businesses, that's also important for them to have for their clients. One of my favorite restaurants during the course of shutting down last year didn't have my contact information. Now, they did very well because it's a very popular restaurant and they're good, but it would have been helpful if they could have somehow sent me out an email every now and then or something along those lines just to maintain that connection. That same restaurant, when I went to see them a little bit later in the year, because I had been a good customer for a long period of time, they actually had a special coupon for those long-standing customers. Just can I say thank you, appreciate what you did for us during the period of time, and there was a nice discount coupon that certainly I took advantage of. But that sort of thing is kind of important. Think about as well actions we can take regarding Zoom or other video conferencing platforms that we all used, right? I saw many creative ways. I know you probably had a number of creative ways. In fact, I tried to have a birthday party, at least a cocktail party over Zoom. It worked out reasonably well. We're still kind of early in the process, so people appreciate it. But there's so many things and so many ways to maintain that communications, and these are actions we all need to take individually and from your business very proactively. So on the business side, let's talk about and look at many larger organizations have in fact apps. I'm sure we all have a number of apps on our phone now for different businesses, whether it's a motivation business, whether it's some kind of advocacy, whether it's a connection to start to turn us into advocates for that business. All those aspects are important. And small businesses also can participate in various affinity programs in which they can band together. I have one restaurant friend of mine that has a combination of restaurants that are all part of an app which has affinity capabilities. All those things are important as we continue maintaining our contact with our personal community and with our business community. Let me tell you about some of those benefits. The benefits of maintaining that connection and that relationship are multiple. Let's talk about from a business standpoint. If you have that connection with your customers and you're engaging with them in a conversation perhaps, electronically, or you're providing them with some additional information and contact via some of the visual platforms that are available, that's starting to bring them in closer to you, and they will also be able to be more in touch with the things that you're doing in your organization. Perhaps you had a party or someone that canceled out at the last minute. You can now let your customers know that, hey, you have new availability. Don't forget, we all have weather events in all of our communities, and so what are your aspects for that weather event? Close, open, modified hours, you see what I'm saying? Perhaps even delayed delivery on some things. All important for you to maintain that connection with your customers. On a personal side, It's always good to maintain connection with your friends. Understand what's going on in their world, what's important to them, trials, successes, ups, downs. Those are things that friends do that what? Help to bring the relationship together. And that relationship is the true aspect of why the communication needs to happen. From a business standpoint, that relationship starts to move your customers to being your advocates. On the personal side, it moves from being associates to really being friends and people you can count on when you need to, because we all need that sometimes. So, thank you much for joining me on this episode of Coffee with Cornell. Remember, maintain that connection with your community because it's important to you and to your business. Thanks for joining me. See you next week on Coffee with Cornell. Friends, I want you to like, subscribe, and then hit the bell for notifications for future episodes. Come on, help me out, and it'll help to make Coffee with Cornell even better for you.